Are you ready to get your button pushed? You're tuned in to What's the Reason for This, the podcast where music meets madness, friends become family, and every conversation finds its own groove. Kick back, laugh loud, and let's find the reason together. The button has been pushed. Hello and welcome. What's going on, guys? Coming at you live from the dungeon. And we have another, and I say a lot, but this is very true. We have a very special guest here, Torrin Daniels from the Kitchen Dwellers. What's going on, T?
How you doing, bud?
Dude, I am fucking amazing. Thank you so much for coming over here. Super stoked to have you. Really excited to have a conversation. Mostly, I just want you to shut up and sing.
Yeah. Perfect. I'm super good at that.
Yeah, no, of course, right? And that's where it was like, it's funny because we just got done with these Colorado runs. You guys are in the middle of ski tour, and it's been interesting, let's say, how your performance, and not just the performance, the speech before the second to last song, kind of just blew up, right? And it was crazy because for me, I felt like the environment around us has been crazy for a while.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have not stood up and said things as vocally as maybe I would have liked, right?
Yeah, totally.
And I feel like it was totally unexpected. Like you came out and you stood in front of this mic and like you made this very powerful speech. And
thank you.
I couldn't have been more fucking proud of you at that moment because I felt like you were the first person in our scene that really used your platform on stage, not just like cryptic social media posts, right? Like,
yeah,
you fucking came out and you knocked it out of the park because I think that you connected with a lot of us what we were already feeling.
Yeah.
I don't know, did you know that there was another incident that had happened that day before you had done this?
Yeah, we heard about that, yeah, like maybe like at sound check or like after sound check, I think.
But it was still so fresh that a lot of us didn't know truly what was going on. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
And so you came out, you talked about Renee Good, and then for those of you that don't know, there's hundreds of thousands of views on that clip, right? Which was
nice.
Well deserved. The problem is so many people that just don't realize how important music is, right?
Yeah.
And,
yes.
And I feel like they try to put musicians in a box, and you're like, fuck this box, and I love it. So what was through your head? Like, what made you finally get to that moment where you're like, all right, fuck it, we're going to do this? And it was on the biggest stage of your guys' career, right?
Yeah, it was. That was the biggest, that's the biggest indoor show we've done yet. Obviously, we've done Red Rocks several times, but that was the biggest indoor one, and that one was actually ours. Like, that's, like, we played 2 sets, like, we headlined. We played the Mission before co-headlining with Donato.
Daniel Donato, because of that show.
But this was like, this one, I would say, we always like, we have this thing of like telling ourselves in our band, unless we headline something and get that many people in there, then it doesn't actually feel like it's our show. You're very guarded in your joy sometimes as an artist. And so that was the biggest indoor crowd that we've had there, mostly for us at this time. So, yeah.
But the energy was there, right? And like, it was the third day of a 3-day run. So we had already gotten wild in a smaller setting in Cervantes.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. And then we got rowdy for that Cervantes, or for the Mission show.
Yeah.
And then for you to stand up and just control the room, right? Like, I'm sure that people get like nervous coming on stage to play music. Did you have any inklings before you like got up and said that?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of had decided earlier that day that I was gonna say something, and it was kind of something that I'd been thinking about ever since, kind of the first week of January when shit started going real south in Minneapolis. And I guess like I sort of had a plan in my head of what to say, but I was way more nervous to actually get up and say something than I was to perform in that space. Like, the playing is like kind of second nature, at this point. So I was definitely more more nervous about that, or just more so about trying to be well spoken and get the point across, which lots of people tell me that I am very well spoken. So
Well, it comes naturally, right? So
yeah,
you can have like the bullet points in your head of what you wanted to say.
yeah.
But you said it so eloquently, right? And there was so much emotion to it. And then, did you know what you were going to say to finish it? Because I feel like that's that fucking cherry on top, and then you rolled into throwing.
No, I had no idea. That was off. That was shooting from the hip, which also I am pretty good at. So
yeah. if you didn't know, it was FDJT, F Ice, and long live the Grateful Dead. There were some people that thought you were saying fuck the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, they were like along with the Grateful Dead. I'm like, well, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
We're like, yeah, this guy hates the Grateful Dead. But it's funny because it like misconstrues things, right? So like you say this, you play this epic version of Throwing Stones, right?
Yeah,
like, it was so sick, and I feel like it was a great tribute to Bobby, but also in the time to really stand up for what was happening around us, right? And saying like, fuck this.
Yeah.
And I feel like it started this domino because then like other people in the scene, obviously the second shooting that had happened the same day, definitely pushed everyone over. Like when the NRA is making statements.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's like, yeah, that's like what they're fucking there for. Like, I mean, you should hope they would make a statement.
But that's what's so crazy is it's like we live in this divided society where it's like right or wrong, right? And like for so long, like Kyle Rittenhouse, right, can show up with an assault rifle and not have to fear for his life.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we can have on the other side of the coin someone who has a concealed weapon legally who is then made out to be a terrorist because he's carrying, and it's like folks like my dad, these Second Amendment right guys, like, why aren't you standing up for Second Amendment for the whole? Whether they're aligned with you politically or not, it was wrong.
Yeah, it's wrong. Yeah, and so that's I come from an interesting background regarding that.
Because for people that don't know, you grew up in Wyoming.
Yeah,
right?
I was born in Wyoming. I was raised in Wyoming and Montana.
On a ranch.
On a ranch,
You're
like
a rancher.
with a ranching family, blue collar family. Most of my parents are exceptionally smart. They have master's degrees in animal and range science.
Oh wow!
Through Montana State University, and so they're grew up like agricultural background, but also they're very tied into the scientific end of things. So that's where a lot of there's pretty big value placed on as far as mathematics, science, facts. In our household,
asking questions, right?
ask the right questions, but also
fuck
know,
the system. Fuck the system.
but also know how to get your point across. Be well spoken. I definitely, my parents, definitely I had to do a lot of public speaking sort of opportunities when I was a kid. They thought that was important. They didn't necessarily make me, but they encouraged me to
But they wanted to instill those skills in you, right?
And they're both very good at that too.
Well, and then they realized how important it was probably for them in their life, whether it's day to day or when you're put into situations.
Yeah.
Little did they know that you'd become a professional musician, right?
Yeah.
But that gives you a foundation to really feel comfortable and
Yeah.
also feel that shit moment before you start. Right?
Totally. And then so also with that, I was raised generally almost all people from agricultural backgrounds vote conservatively most of the time, and that's just kind of how it's always been in our country. And also, as far as Second Amendment shit goes, I fucking love guns. I'm from Montana. I grew up
shooting guns.
I grew up hunting, fishing. If you treat it with respect and knowledge, a firearm is just a tool to get the right thing done, the right type of work done. Is whether it's killing a deer to fill the freezer, if you got to go out and you got to fucking shoot a bunch of prairie dogs so that there's not a bunch of prairie dog holes in your horse pasture so they break a fucking leg.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's important to know, that the only people in this country what am I trying to say here? The people in this country that value the Second Amendment and value, being knowledgeable about firearms and owning your own firearms, they're not only these fucking guys that are like cosplaying as like Navy SEALs, like they're not. Swain calls them the gravy seals because they're always
the chunky,
fat guys.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
dude, we need to make that into a sticker.
Yeah, the gravy seals.
Gravy
Or
seals.
so I saw someone the other day comment Meal Team 6.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's like it's not only those guys. It's not only fucking doomsday preppers that are like. That are buying and using firearms.
Wait, are you saying a fucking libtard can actually know how to use a weapon and respect?
100%, yeah.
That's what's so crazy. It's like, oh, well, you think this way about society issues, so you're a fucking pussy. You're a soy boy. You're a this.
Yeah. It's always and it's 9 times out of 10. Usually, I've found that all the people like firing off those types of insults. It's always. It's 9 times out of 10, it's always a fucking white guy, which is an important distinction.
Oh, for sure.
And it's generally someone who has not left their hometown or at least their home state. A lot of times, single guy, because turns out you can't convince a partner to stick around if you're fucking nuts. Yeah. So, it's an important distinction to see who is firing off the libtard snowflake insults.
That's what's so crazy is like they feel like because they're louder or because they make better memes or whatever it is that they're right, and then we create this echo chamber and we've divided society so much now that you're either with or against.
And so like, which I mean, granted after. That video went viral and stuff. I got a surprisingly small amount of fuck yous on the internet, which is nice. It was I
got a lot of them for you.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Yeah.
Fuck them. I don't give a shit. Keep coming at me. For so long, I was like worried about being vocal, and my wife knowing because like I came out of college, I had a political science and history double major.
Yeah,
dude, I campaigns and worked in nonprofits. It was literally all that I did.
Yeah.
And for me, I ended up leaving because I saw that the system was broken.
Yeah.
Right? It didn't matter which side, because to be perfectly honest, and you can look this up, I've worked for both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
Right?
And the two different wings are on the same bird.
Yes,
so.
and that's the problem, and that's the thing, is I feel like for us as a community, we need to come together, right? Not be driven apart. What we have to focus on is what can we connect on, and that's where I really thought something like the Second Amendment, and now with the Alex Preddy shooting, there is a little bit more of people being like, that was fucking wrong, right?
Like, all right, yeah.
Like, okay, he literally had to be drugged into the fucking street and shot unarmed, right? For this to be like, oh, finally, okay.
Yeah.
But with you had spoke on the Renee Good, and there's so many people, oh, she drove into him, she did this. And it's like, she let other vehicles pass, right?
Yeah.
These people aggressively came to her fucking door.
Yeah.
You're going to be fearful. You're going to try to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Some people are telling you to leave. Other people are telling you to get the fuck out. She just had a split second to react.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, she's dead.
Yeah.
Right? It's fucked. What's crazy to me was... I knew this, but a lot of people, until you said this, didn't know. You guys were in Minnesota.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where this all stemmed from. Was we were in Minnesota. We were in the studio, and I mean the guys we were working with, like there was like we're getting in there. It was like second day there, like we'd barely been there, and like getting set up. Getting ready to go, and then like all of a sudden, like the engineer dude, Nick, is like, "Fuck!" Like, and his wife like texted him this shit and sent him this, article. It's like all Reddit videos, because like Reddit is kind of like the only like uncensored thing right now. Yeah. So like, they're getting all this information like while we're trying to set up, we're trying to fucking, stay focused, we're there to accomplish a goal, like we're there to create the art, and we've been really excited about it too.
You had the recording time on the books for a while.
Yeah, that's usually how it works, but it's like also with us, like we tour so much, we're all so busy right now. Like there's two dudes in the band with kids, one, Max has a newborn, Joe has His daughter is almost 3 now, and so there's all of these factors going on that where we are so fucking busy right now. I've until this last week, I had like 10 days clocked at home from Halloween to February, essentially.
Yeah, which is fucking
nuts.
Is
crazy. And that includes like, we obviously like we traveled, like we went to Mexico for Strings and Soul, like there's holiday family travel involved in that. But that being said, that's a busy fucking life. And so we went essentially straight from New Year's to the studio to our ski tour starting in Colorado. So it's like we have like we've got fucking 7 days to accomplish this, to get this art done, to get these things out of us that we're super excited about. We want to get them on tape, get these songs created.
You still have to create and finish them, tie the loose ends. Once you hear them produced, you can kind of change things, because some of the stuff I'm assuming you guys have already played live, right? And
some of it we played live. A lot of it, I mean, most of it we haven't for sure. But a lot of it now, since we all live in different places and we're so busy touring all the time, a lot of it is creating songs like in the studio. Like a lot of it is like bring like
that
one
is where
idea.
The magic happens.
Now it is. It didn't used to be like that. It used to be much more planned out. Finish the song. And now it's more collaborative too. Now it's like the parts of the songs have pieces from everyone in the band, from ideas and lyrics and vocals and all this shit coming from everybody in the band. Whereas before it would be like someone's bringing like a finished product to the or more or less finished product to the other guys.
Is that how you feel like your last album went?
Our last album was the first time that it's been super collaborative, when we worked with Glenn Brown, he has done almost every Green Sky album since Handguns, and he did the first couple of Billy Strings albums, the Michigan guy. So and he's like one of the smartest studio guys I've ever been around. He's like a savant. But so we were recording with Glenn, and like basically like bringing like one melody to the table, and we create a song out of that, or like one vocal idea, one lyric, and building a song from that.
Fucking insane. And you only had 8 days there, right?
Yeah, this last one, it was like 8, 7, or it was like just about a week. So that's what we were doing in the studio. This this time around, same kind of approach, taking basically creating something out of nothing while we're in the studio, but. So we're trying to do that all the while this shit is going down like 30 minutes away from where we are.
Well, and it was pure chaos that day.
Pure chaos that day, and like everyone's like wondering like what the fuck's gonna happen. Like Stu, our tour manager, is getting ready to fly into Minneapolis to come meet us, and we're like, dude, like don't stop anywhere. Yeah. Don't like just fucking get the fuck out of Minneapolis and come to the studio. Like don't make any extra errands or anything like that. Like just get out of town. And so the whole time we're like in that recording session, we're like, there's this overhanging like impending sense of doom, basically.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
From our, caused by our own fucking government, and that's like, I would love to shut up and sing. That's the thing that people don't get, is they're like, why don't you, why you got to make it political? Why that's of all the things that I got were in response. That was the most was like. Why does everything have to be political? Why does it have to be, partisan, all this shit? Well, like, for one, it doesn't have to be partisan. Yeah. And I'm not saying it is. Me saying that the guy in the White House doesn't know how to run the fucking country is not a partisan opinion.
It's just an opinion on that person.
And it's also being able to spot a fucking idiot 100 miles away.
For sure. And that's where it's like we as society make excuses for the people that we want, right? And it's like it's like, oh, if we love a team or a band, it's like, oh, well, no, they're fucking great. Oh, that band fucking sucks.
Yeah. And it's like...
They're both fucking good, or they both fucking suck, right?
And
just be real about it.
Yeah, and to be able to look at, things objectively and subjectively. Like, so Charlie Crockett made a video like a couple months ago, and it's part of like maybe a bigger documentary that's going to be about him. But he's just driving around, and this guy is videotaping him, and he's like, people always want to tell you to shut up and sing, and he's like, but what most people don't realize is like I've been traveling around this country to every state for like 20 years, right? And so I'm getting like and I'm hanging out with everyone from the richest people in the country, the top 1% that pay me to show up and play their private gigs or whatever, and want to hang out with me. Like, I get that perspective. And then I also play, I'm a musician, so I play in venues. Venues are often in shitty parts of town, across the board. Doesn't matter what state you're in. So you're not only you're hanging out with people that are also destitute, also below the poverty line or around the poverty line, that have saved up to come to your show and more or less have no idea how to keep surviving in this country, because everything has been made almost impossible to deal with in this country. And so it's like you're getting that view of the American people in every state, and you're doing it recurring. We never stop touring, so it's like we're hitting both coasts.
Yeah, and everything in between. Right? Because
some fucking asshole that's never left that town wants to come in and be like, "You don't fucking know what you're talking about." I'm like, dude,
bro, you've never left. I literally see this. And
like, also, like, I'm fucking here for you, man. Like, I am trying to, like, but also, so aside from getting like a very wide swath of input from American citizens from all sorts of backgrounds, not only that, but you're also trying to just focus on music. Like, I would love to just think about banjo rolls and fucking deathcore chugs and, like, how to vocal fry scream and all this other musical shit that I love thinking about every day. I would love to just think about that. But unfortunately,
you're living in
there's
this
a
world.
fucking bunch of billionaires that want to run this fucking country into the ground and have it be at the cost of the fucking middle of the road average Joe American citizen. And now they've hired a fucking masked goon squad, Gestapo, to try and fucking force their will on people, and it's fucking fascism. And it's like, when that is occurring next to you, it feels pretty fucking stupid to just sit here and fucking and ignore that. Yeah. Like that's the thing, is like, I would love to just think about music. I would love to shut up and sing, but it's like, it's unfortunately gotten to such a fucking point that you have to fucking speak up for what is right. You have to be able to fucking call it as you fucking see it.
But that's exactly it. When there isn't chaos in our world, then you are allowed to just shut up and sing. But that's where I think it was so fucking important for you, because the environment around us right now is screaming for us to come together, right? Yeah. And like, yes, a lot of people say, "Oh, I just want to go to a concert and forget about it." I fucking love to too, right? I literally have family in Minnesota. I have some of my best friends in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I have buddies that are American citizens that are of Mexican descent, born and raised here, right?
Totally.
Fucking terrified to go to work.
Yep.
Terrified. He's literally carrying around his birth certificate in his truck so that he can feel safe in the country he has only known and lived in, right?
Yeah.
But then there's people on the internet going, "Well, what does it matter that you have to show ID?" Well, do you understand the fear that's being instilled, right? And so like, militarizing immigration is a huge fucking problem, because it's just the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? And if we don't stop, that's where it leads to something else, because it's desensitizing us to these things happening.
Yeah, learned helplessness.
Yes, exactly, 1,000%. And that's where it's like, that's why it's so important for people like you on those stages to fucking say things. And the reason people get mad is because they're upset and they're uncomfortable, and you're breaking the echo chamber.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, and people get, people's like initial, everyone's initial reaction to upsetting, the balance, or like, bringing the uncomfortableness out and talking about it, is either anger or fear. Like, that's like the knee-jerk reaction for like 99% of humans. So, and
that's actually the knee-jerk reaction for when you were talking about the 9 out of 10 white dudes. It's the same fucking thing. It's fear, right? So it's either instilled trauma for some some brown or colored person that changed their life in a way or whatever the fuck it was, or they're afraid that it's going to happen. And that's where I think the fear mongering starts, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, you need to be careful. These are violent immigrants, right? And then the talking point is, oh, well, they're only taking the bad guys, right? Like, guess what? You and I are both, I will speak for you knowing this. Yeah. We don't want the bad ones here, right? Like you can understand if you're violent, if you're creating crimes, then I understand that. I totally understand that. The problem is only 14% of the immigrants that are being detained have committed any crime, more or less a violent crime, right?
Yeah. Well, that's just the thing. Like literally, it's not even like it's not. I wouldn't say that it's partisan or that it's political. Like, you know, that's the response people always want to give is like, oh, well, I guess you're just going to be liberal and give all our money away and shit. Like, I'm like, dude, you're so jumping to conclusion. Like, no,
it's from here to way over fucking here with nothing in between.
With nothing in between. And it's like, no, dude, it ends in the fucking Hunger Games, dude. Like, it literally, it starts with this shit. And before you know it, the guy in charge just has a militarized force that can run about the country and do whatever the fuck they want, and that is bad fucking news.
Well, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the airwaves now because I've said it to other people, and now I'm just going to put it out there for the rest. What I'm worried about is with the militarization of immigration, with the creation of division, what we're waiting for is a disruption in our election process.
Yeah.
Right? And at that point, we're going to say, okay, well, we need to nationalize elections, which is fucking illegal. Yeah. And if you have any iota of a brain cell, you understand why the national government should not be in charge of national elections. Because if you want to talk about fair fucking elections, that's the first way that it needs to start, right? And I think that, for me, the bigger thing is we're pushing all these... The president said that there weren't going to be any new wars started, that he was going to stop these things. It's been the polar opposite. What I'm afraid of is we're going to get into these wars, and then what's going to happen is his term's supposed to be over.
Yeah.
Wartime president will now be allowed to go for a third term.
Exactly.
Right? And now this becomes the dictatorship that people are calling for.
Yeah.
And I'm just putting that out there on February 7th, whatever fucking day this is, that like, this is what we are seeing, and this is why we're speaking out, is because we're afraid of that, right? But you have all this shit going on, and you have 7 days in the studio, and you're trying to create an album. So how much did what was going on influence that creative process, and how did you guys get through those 7 days?
So, I mean, it definitely, made some of it a little, like... I would say like almost like a more natural process, because like in the recording studio you can go into like all these rabbit holes of like, we need to punch this part and come back and redo this one part just on one instrument, and then it can kind of snowball where you're
Do you guys lay individual tracks?
Well, so usually, yes. Typically, so we've done it a bunch of different ways.
The evolution?
Yeah. So usually what we do...
You guys got your fucking name from playing together in a kitchen, right?
Yeah. So like, before, basically the problem that you have with bluegrass recording is like, there's no drummer. So like, a lot of bands will go in and record a drum track first, like the drummer, or the drum and bass or something like that. And so there's no drummer. So a lot of the stuff has to be done live, or should be done live, so you can get the bluegrass feel. But all these instruments are all acoustic instruments, and they're all coming in a different volume. So like, I can't play this in the same room typically as like Sean or Max when we're recording without their microphones also picking this up. And so you have this sort of like live sense of like, oh, are we doing it live? Like, are we all, just going to play and that's how it comes out? Like, if someone fucks up something here or there, like, that's just going to be part of the recording. Or are we going to separate ourselves in a different room?
Because you don't have the individual tracks, so then that person, like Swain, couldn't fix his mando lick or chop or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you're all doing it together. So it's like, we need to fucking hit this tape.
Yeah,
this is what's getting pressed on the vinyl.
Yeah. And so, you can go, there's obviously tons of different ways to skin the cat as far as recording goes, but you can go with the more live approach and all just kind of sit in one room and do the thing together, or you can separate yourselves and like get really technical about it. So I think that with all this other stuff going on, we sort of just leaned into whatever was natural at the time and didn't overhandle like any process of it. Like there wasn't any usually there's a point where we're like, okay guys, have we gone too far with this whatever we're pursuing? Like, are we this close to the painting? Like we can't see what's around it, you know? There's usually that conversation comes up in recording a lot. But this time around there was like a lot of like, if we questioned something, we're just like, no, let's not overhandle it. Let's just do whatever, you know, comes natural, however we're feeling about this particular song. So I would say that definitely influenced it. Definitely there's some lyrical changes in some of the new tunes that are, you know, there already were a couple that were sort of politically leaning.
No, you never.
Yeah, and so so there's a little bit of, you know, adjustment to the times.
Is there like an overwhelming theme like the 7 Deadly Sins from the last album?
No, not as much. That one was definitely like our concept album, and that was like, yeah, that one kind of came together in this like very cohesive thing. And I would say these songs are cohesive, but a lot of this is literally just our band sort of like being ourselves and just playing. Like there's always this joke because I write the set list. Typically I write the set list and then I bring it to the boys and then they and usually Joe has like zero input until like the last absolute second, and
then he wants to fucking change things.
What did we do? But his thing is always like,
Joe's always coming in late.
Okay? Yeah, which is fine. That's just how someone's got to. And
it keeps you on your toes.
It keeps you on your toes. But his thing is, if he's trying to convey a vibe for like a show, he always just says, let's just play a Kitchen Dwellers show.
That's sick.
Which is hilarious because it's like, it's so fucking ambiguous. Like I'm like, what are you trying to say?
Kitchen
Like,
show?
Yeah, in like the 11th hour, he's like throwing that out there. I'm like, what
and
the fuck do you mean?
Yeah, hamster wheels turning. You're like, wait, how am I supposed to?
Yeah, and so that is kind of, I would say that's the approach on the new album is all the songs are.
It's a Kitchen Dwellers album.
Yeah, all the songs are fucking different, and they're all just us. Yeah, being us, and it's all live. Like I think almost every track is just recorded like live, all of us in the room together.
Oh, just all of you together.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's cool. That's a new thing.
Have you guys finished it, or do you still have some more?
We don't know. We don't know. We have no. We're yet to.
That's a no. That's a no. You have to feel it, and then
it might. Yeah, it might be. Yeah. I think it might. I don't know. It might be done. We don't know. We haven't heard the new.
You want to hear it? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So that we got that news, and then we got the news that Bob Weir had passed away. You know, like the next day or 2 days, whatever.
It was fucked.
It was, and it was like, man, like it feels like this is like really sad. Like this is like a really, you know, kind of like a dark moment, and. I talked to my therapist, which everyone should do.
And for those of you that don't know, you have always been an advocate for mental health. Like, you've been speaking with Backline, like, there's a lot of stuff that you have done, and I think more people need to do that, because I think for us, when we grew up, it was like a faux pas, right? Like, none of us were... My dad would be like, "Oh, you fucking pussy! You want to cry? I'm going to give you something to cry about, right?"
Yeah, totally.
Like, okay, Dad. Fuck, I'm sorry. Like, just like figure it out, right? But it's like, no, you're allowed to have emotions. That also is allowed to have fucked you up as a person, right?
Totally.
And it's okay for us to talk about it and walk through our trauma, but that's what's cool about music, is because we trauma bond, right? And we bond through these songs and through some of that stuff.
Totally, yeah.
But for you advocating, I think it's so important, and more people need to do it, because we see you as like this guy on stage with all this power, right? But then you're like, yeah, I talked to my therapist, and we're like, oh,
Yeah.
Torrin talks to a therapist.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like,
you're a real life boy.
Yeah. And yeah. It's hilarious too. Like Metallica talks about therapy now. And I mean, if anyone's ever seen Saint Anger, then you're like, oh, those fuckers need therapy. Yeah. Yeah, I think that we've always advocated for that, and I think it's because our band has been like through some pretty crazy shit collectively and separately. Individually, I think like our band has sort of run the gauntlet as far as things like that, and living through really tough
fucking life.
Like, yeah.
You're a fucking fan.
And I think a lot of things happened to us maybe when we were a younger version of our band that happened to other bands maybe when they're older. And so we had like our learning curve was like really fast with that shit of are we gonna get upset with each other? Are we gonna blame each other for these things that are going on, or are we going to band together? And so that our coming out the other side of that and like sort of surviving COVID as a band and also like kind of hitting our stride.
You guys did a good job of streaming and staying together, right? And playing and still having that connection, even though you may not have been all together.
And I mean that we were then. We all still lived in Montana then, so like we could go. We had our own studio space, so we could go in and like work on stuff together every day, and like
fucking
that was part of
spreaders.
There we are.
Goddamn hippies.
And I mean, like, after like the initial quarantine, when it's like, okay, maybe like keep like now it's like you can hang out with like your immediate crew. And
you don't need to tell me. I packed my family up and we fucking left. We moved abroad for 2 years, and I just said fuck it.
Yeah, dude. Nice. Where'd you go?
So I went to Mexico, the Dominican Republic, Panama, Costa Rica.
Did you move from Hawaii?
So I moved from Castle Rock. So I was a douche in a suit. I was a corporate sales trainer.
Nice.
And I fucking hated my life. And I always joke that my spirit animal is Chris Farley. And I just wanted to have fun. And I was teaching people how to market themselves.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, well, can you just do this for me? I'm like, no, I'll lose my license. I can't do it for you, but I can teach you how to do it. Well, eventually I was like, well, fuck it. I'm just going to do it for them. And we sold all our shit. I was the sole provider for my family. My wife looked at me like, what the fuck are we doing? It was the greatest decision we ever made in our lives.
Nice.
Like, it was literally the best thing. And it changed who we were as people, right? But we grew together, and you guys have grown. And what I was talking to you before you came on here is like, there was two things that absolutely have stood out to me, because the first time I saw you guys was like way back, I think it was like 2016 or 2017. And I told you, man, the first thing that blew me away was how much you've improved on your vocals.
Thank you.
Right? There's a huge fucking difference. As much of a difference as there is in your vocals, there's something in Max Davies' fucking water, buddy. Because holy shit. Usually you're like the driver of this ship, right?
Yeah.
And you're fucking... And Max Davies is now like, all right, boys, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
And he's like stepped into that jump seat to like really fucking take this to the next step. And so like, obviously you guys evolve and grow as people, but also as musicians, right?
Yes, yeah.
And so like, what is it that has happened for that? Is it just time? Is it?
Well, so we always like joke that because we're like the non-bluegrass band. Yeah, so we like we all come from backgrounds that are non-bluegrass essentially, aside from Swain. So like Swain's from Telluride, so he is like one of the very few people that I know that's actually from Telluride. So he grew up going to bluegrass. He grew up steeped in the Grateful Dead culture. His parents are Deadheads, and his mom's really
sounds like
Neil Young and stuff. So they're like. That he grew up in the hippie culture and also in the bluegrass culture, the Festivarian culture, knowing who Newgrass Revival is and Sam Bush and Tim O'Brien and all these dudes, and he grew up with that, but also was in when he was younger in like metal bands and like really into punk rock and like kind of retaliated against the hippie ideals and stuff like that, and then sort of circled back around to it once he...
You watched SLC Punk one too many times?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so he has that like metal and punk background as well. And so then Joe grew up in Alaska and grew up playing the bass concert, style in school and stuff like that. But he
like orchestra,
yeah. And but he was very very into, and still is, electronic music, pretty lights, and like a lot of people that I know from Alaska kind of had that upbringing. Like those were kind of the only, a lot of those were like the only opportunities to see music.
Yeah.
In Alaska, it was like either you either go to like the folk fest or the Haynes Fair, which is like all sorts of bands, or you go to Salmon Fest, which is like a lot of the like hippie influenced bands, or you get electronic music shows. And so a lot of those people that I know that we went to college with, there was like a huge influx of people from Alaska to MSU and Bozeman. Mm-hmm. So like a ton of those people are like, I know, that are super heavily electronic music influenced. So that's those two. Max grew up playing guitar, but playing electric guitar. Was never really an acoustic guitar player. Didn't listen to bluegrass until he joined another bluegrass band in Bozeman that was called the Holotops, and he played in the Holotops for like 2 years, maybe, or maybe 3. I don't know. But they put out an album. It's on Spotify. You can look it up. That's where Augie comes from, where it's on.
Oh shit!
Augie is on that album, and I think Here We Go also is on that. But so Max never played acoustic guitar or bluegrass as a genre.
Wasn't doing G runs from 8
well,
years old.
Did not know what a G run was. I remember the moment that he like learned what a G run was. Like at the end of your solo, like the extra 2 beats. He didn't know. He had no concept of what that was until being in that band. Which, well, I mean, sure at the time, I probably fucking didn't know what it was either. And so there was a while where he played in the Holotops and Kitchen Dwellers at the same time.
He was double banded. Which one's going to make it first?
And we were touring together, and they were opening for us. But then those guys
kind of like... fucking way. So he was on stage for the opener, and then...
Yeah. We did a tour where they opened for us, and he played both.
Double...
Yeah. Double duty, yeah. And... But then those guys kind of moved away and branched away from music as far as careers go, and we were doing more improvising and affected. They weren't really using effects or anything like that, so he kind of like gravitated, I think, towards the way we were playing, or maybe we were just more convincing. I don't know what
it was. The Galaxy Grass, buddy. Yeah. And I think that has a lot to do, and that's what I loved about your sound was it was like we call it greasy now, right? Like, but
that's what they say, yeah.
It was grungier, right? And so like my brother grew up Gage Years, heavy metal fan, called me a fucking hippie, right? But like that was like one of the first show I ever went to was the Beastie Boys, and then I remember, dude, then it was like, God, who was it? Hits from the Bong. Cypress Hill and Limp Bizkit.
Nice.
Dude, I was 13 and I was like, fuck yes. I was the douche in a red Yankees hat, just like hated the world. But I was always, my mom was a deadhead. I loved acoustics. I loved stringed instruments.
Yeah.
And so it was like this mix of like, what do I find? So when I saw you guys play for the first time, I was like, fuck, this is so different, but this is what I want. And then I started like doing research, and you start to figure out like, okay, because of your background, don't come from a traditional bluegrass background. You actually played the drums first, right? And then I know that you were playing the mandolin before Swain voluntold you to pick up your banjo.
Yeah, basically.
You just became the banjo player. But it was cool because we were talking about this earlier, like, because of your experience as a drummer and not being a traditional banjo player, you came more rhythmically in the beginning, right?
Totally, yeah. So the division of bluegrass, if you look at it like a drum set, the bass, the stand-up bass is the bass drum because it's hitting on the 1 and the 3, and the mandolin is the snare drum because it's hitting on the 2 and the 4. So you have the boom chick, boom chick, boom chick, boom chick, right? Guitar and banjo from there are more they're subdividing the rhythm between that. So if you're looking at it like that's the frills on top, because basically as long as you have snare and bass, like you're holding down a rhythm, but there's not much else, right?
Yeah, the count, yeah.
And so I kind of look at it like Max is like maybe like the toms on a drum set, and I'm the hi-hat.
Okay.
Because I'm playing 16th notes, right? So you're when you're playing drums, like your hi-hat, you're like for every 4 beats that you're playing with the bass and the snare, you're playing like either 8 or 16 hi-hat hits. And so like that's the thing is on banjo, you're subdividing rhythm. So just if you look at without melody, just looking at that rhythmically, so that's like you're playing, sort of like the hi-hat, you're playing the notes between the notes, which is sort of everyone's job in bluegrass, and it just depends on sort of what type of band you're in or who takes that role. Like you can have mandolin players like Jeff Austin or Chris Thiele, where they're like, Jeff was playing like very shreddy rhythmic, and
so
that's like his favorite fucking thing to do is play muted notes. Is like, he's like doing these intense like subdivided chops,
which is what makes it so fucking insane.
Yeah,
to be able to play and then to do that, layering it on top, like not only understanding like the musician's brain, but then performing it, right?
Totally.
And then to like do it. But that's what was cool about you is like coming from that harder scene, right? And then hearing you playing like heavier riffs. And now like hearing like King Gizzard riffs and songs, I'm like, fuck yes, Torrin. But like how do you find that? Because you weren't traditionally a banjo player, right? So
so I played drums all the way from I was like 10 years old and started playing it in school, maybe like 12, 4th grade. Started playing it in school in band and just like, I don't know why, just kind of gravitated towards drums. And then all the way middle school, like high school, like that was like the only thing that I gave a fuck about was playing the drums and getting a drum set and like adding more shit onto the drum set and like and figuring out all the cool.
Who are you listening to at the time?
So that's like a
we don't judge our teenage fucking, okay?
Yeah,
because we have to have an evolution. Like
you do have to have an evolution.
I started with Limp Bizkit, and then you get into like Pantera, and you get into like
that's the gateway.
Yes, you start with some of this like more mainstream stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then you start finding like what you like, or whether it's like scream metal or fucking shred. Like there's different.
Yep.
Right?
And so so mine was multifaceted because I grew up in a ranching family and
Hank Williams Jr.
Dwight
Yoakam.
All the classic like the 80s 90s country,
which is why the 90s country set that you guys did fucking PCL was so awesome.
90s country is just kind of nonstop bangers, but then also like the classic country before that, 60s and 70s, was huge in my family and it still is. Everyone loves the classics, but also growing up,
you're not playing drums to those songs.
No, not really, except for this is interesting. So my dad went to college with the son of Chris Ledoux. Do you know who Chris Ledoux is? Yeah. So Chris Ledoux was he was like was a huge proponent of like cowboy music, which is not the same as country music, and it's not the same as bluegrass music or folk music. Like cowboy music is its own.
It's cowboy
thing.
Country, yeah, for sure.
And so a lot of those guys, especially the guys that are like still tour and still play, like Don Edwards, I think he just recently passed away, but Red Steagle, there's all these like guys that have been out there doing it. Baxter Black, he's a cowboy poet, but yeah, so they're all out there. They're riding rodeo. They're on the rodeo circuit, which is a lot like touring in a band. But they're also playing little solo shows, or they're recording tapes and they're trading tapes back and forth. Like that was a thing in like these 90s, right? So all these bull riders and
it wasn't just the deadheads, okay?
Yeah, no. Trading tapes metalheads do it too. So so Chris Ledoux he started out that way, sort of like he's in the rodeo first, as a saddle bronc rider, and then doing this sort of music career secondly. And eventually at some point it switched because he started getting popular enough that he was
riding,
but he was like the like true grit like cowboy. Like he won the NFR and also I think won a Grammy. So like he's doing like full-fledged both of those things and being really fucking good at it. So that guy, he was from Wyoming. He's from KC. Well, he lived in KC, Wyoming. He was born in Texas, but he kind of grew, like when I was growing up, he was like very much a part of like my upbringing as far as like going to the shows, and my dad is hanging out with his son Clay, and my dad was in rodeo for a while too. So like a lot of it is really like ringing true to my existence as like a young.
It's giving you that foundation.
Yeah, and so a lot of that is
you're not in a fucking cowboy country. Where did some of this heavier stuff come from?
So the heavier stuff came from, I like discovered, it was like Green Day, Good Charlotte. Yeah, classic.
But that's what's funny is because it's teenage angst, right? And
totally,
those bands like Limp Bizkit, like they spoke to that
totally
age range and window, and all of us like cringe later. But then guess what? We go back and there's some fucking euphoria.
Some bangers, yeah. And so I discovered, that when like, that's when like Napster
were you like
was
this
coming
Torrin? Were you?
No, I never was. I never had like the full bangs. Like my mom would never let it get that long for a while. Yeah, so I never had to like. Yeah, I wasn't like as much of a scene kid as I would have liked to be, probably. Which is looking back on it,
it's okay.
Is an okay thing now. Yeah, so I never had. Well, and also that wasn't fully my type of music either. I was always like taking from
tasting
a lot of different genres. So like the cowboy stuff, obviously I loved the punk stuff and like Nirvana, all that shit. Classic.
All the grunge metal from the Pacific.
Yeah, all the grunge was very into that. And then also,
and if people don't remember, there is a great video online of Alice in Chains. There's some fucking, sorry, just to double this back.
Oh,
some fascists where he's fucking
they're in like Sweden or something.
Yes, dude, and he calls him on stage and he fucking blasts him in the face.
Lane's like, come up here, and he just fucking just cold cocks him. So.
If that's not fucking metal, I don't know.
It's pretty punk rock. So there's those influences, and then like also in high school, I was like getting into a lot of like reggae. I was like learning to play guitar, teaching myself to play guitar, and like reggae was like sort of like introduction to Bob Marley and all that. It's like very simple stuff, learning how to play and sing at the same time.
Power chords.
Yeah, and then Sublime, like discovering like Sublime and like how they're intertwining all these like hip hop, punk.
Well, they're starting to mesh reggae, and evolve some of that stuff, right?
and they're like, and they're just playing whatever their type of music is, which is I really love. And then also at the same time sort of discovering the jam band scene.
But out in Montucky, you're not getting a lot of those live representations.
No.
Cowboy country, you get to see that.
Totally.
So when was it that you really got to start experiencing some of the live music scenes?
So I didn't really go to any shows until like living in Wyoming. Like it's like there's like only like
it's like living
two cities. Like that there maybe like Tool is gonna come through every once in a while and playing Casper, which was sick. But aside from that, like there's not any sort of live music scene going on. Like you're sort of like creating your own as far as like playing with your buddies and like putting on shows, in like little high school bands and stuff like that. I didn't really get to go to a lot of music, or not even a lot, but just like some music until we moved back to Montana when I was in high school, and I went to Railroad Earth at the Babcock Theater in Billings, Montana in like 2000, something like that. And that was like my first introduction to like, oh, this is bluegrass, but it's also a jam band, and they're also like, there's all these deadheads here, and people are fucking smoking weed in the audience, and I'm 16, and it's fucking awesome.
This is cool. Like, what?
Yeah,
cool.
And
especially in fucking Montucky, right?
Yeah,
and like, wait,
yeah,
these people are here.
Yeah, so it's like getting that influence kind of like brought it home, and I started getting into bluegrass and I bought a banjo and a mandolin, and like was kind of learning both of those and guitar all at the same time, and sort of like trading back and forth and trying to figure out how each of them worked and stuff like that.
A true bluegrass man that plays multiple instruments.
Yeah. Well, if you're half-assed at enough things, it amounts to more than one whole ass. So.
Yes, just slices. Yeah. But that's what's kind of cool. So like you grew up, you didn't have a lot of it, but now you guys have become such an integral part of the scene up there for music, for Pine Creek. I know that you just released your new Pine Creek dates.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and how does that feel to like now be that band that 16-year-old can come and see a show and be like, "Fuck, look at this, I want to."
Yeah, it's awesome. Like now, it's crazy to think about the feeling of like searching out music when we were younger, and like even like not even that much younger. Like in college, like I was like looking for like, you know, like when we were starting to play as a band, and like we're starting to become, you know, what we are now, but like very fledgling version of that, and looking for music and being like, oh, like I want to find like the grungy bluegrass, like I want to find like the punk bluegrass, and there's like not a lot of it, and there's not a lot of it being done in exactly the style that I am looking for, you know, like a lot of it is like, okay, you have Devil Makes Three, you have like the gothic.
Do you know Kenny Feinstein?
Yeah. Not actually, never met personally, only through the internet and really liking each other's shit. But I'm hoping that we're going to California this next tour, and so I'm hoping to get him out to a show. But yeah, love Water Tower.
Dude, he's a great dude. I saw him ripping Ruben's Train in like a Rancid shirt, and I was like, "Yep, all right, this is my fucking guy."
Yeah, and like they're just like they're like holding on to like the very traditional style of bluegrass and playing around a single mic.
They're still coming bolo ties.
Yeah,
but then they play like a Blink 182 song, and you're like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah, or their originals are like really punk too. Yeah,
they most definitely are. He's good, and so that's why when you said that, I was like, I had to give a shout out to fucking Kenny.
Oh yeah, he fucking cracks me.
Because you're right, there's not a lot out there. Right?
There's not a lot out there, and there's not like, or it's like, you know, you have like the like gothic or like folk punk scene, which is like one thing where it's like folk punk is awesome, you know, like Johnny Hobo, all that type of shit, Pat the Bunny, like all that's in Days and Days, like all those type of bands are like it's not bluegrass, it's not punk grass, it's essentially just punk rock on acoustic instruments, which is awesome, which is sick. Then you have like the gothic sort of grass scene, which is like Bridge City Sinners, Devil Makes Three, the Builders and the Butchers, and like all those bands that is like it's not bluegrass and it's not punk. They have punk influence and they all wear black and they're all pretty fucking dark, but it's like, it's moreover, that's like gothic, like it's slower, it's more, morose.
Have you heard any Murdergrass? So it's like scream bluegrass.
Yeah, so there's like, what's that one band?
There's
like
the one
viral
that's like,
band.
yes, they're like super popular.
Yeah.
I've asked them so many times.
The Howl.
Yes.
Or something.
I don't remember what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
But like absolute fucking rippers.
Yeah,
right?
and there's like, and they're like an extension of like Split Lip Rayfield, right?
Yes.
Like, which Split Lip Rayfield was fucking awesome. Great fucking band. But they were doing like, essentially they're playing like thrash metal on bluegrass instruments, which is impressive on its own, but they're not really differing from that style of playing, right? They're
just
like,
playing it on the instruments. They're doing the same type of lick as
they're just like they're not playing other stuff that's kind of outside that genre, right? They're not jamming, they're not improvising, they're not using effects. They're sticking to it, which is awesome. Shout out to Split Lip. That was a fucking great band. So there's all these like different, and Yonder is sort of leaning them. We were super into Yonder as like a younger band, and they were leaning into that like improvisation, Grateful Dead covers, also Misfits covers, also Jeff Austin's originals, like his fucking, sometimes he's playing and you feel like you're in a haunted house, and it's like,
dude, it's the best.
It's the best. Yeah, it was the best.
It was literally the fucking. He's the reason that I got into bluegrass.
Yeah, and then so you're like, yeah, same. He's literally the thing that kickstarted
I saw him in Harmony Park in 2000, and he played a bunch of Hartford tunes.
Nice, yeah.
And I was just like, oh God, what the fuck? Who are
these?
You, and then who the fuck is John Hartford?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then I fell down the rabbit hole of John Hartford, and it's like,
yeah,
oh my God. And so I was talking to MGU before your guys' show at the Mission. I asked them about Hartford, and these fucking young bucks, as great as they are, had no, like, very minimal idea on who John Hartford was. When they left, I immediately called Katie Hartford, John's daughter. I was like, we need to send them a care package. They need every single fucking album. And she was cool enough that she sent it to Drury's house. So hopefully
that's awesome.
They can get learned.
Oh, that's great.
But I feel like for you to come back full circle, like, you have so many different inspirations, right? And you continue to evolve and grow, and like finding that kitchen dweller sound. But for you as a banjo player, like, how has it been as you've evolved from being like a more rhythm player to like where you're at now? Because you can really drive things. You can also now let Max drive things, right? So then that opens you up to be a little more experimental in what you're doing, right?
Yeah. A lot of it is like being able to like have all those influences from before and be searching for the sound, and now to be able to be like, oh, let's just, like, if this is the sound we want to hear, let's just play it. Let's figure out how to play it. And which is a super cool feeling. But so some of it is like obviously learning the traditional aspects of bluegrass and like being able to pull like those things along with influence from other genres and like learning how to play other instruments.
What's your favorite acoustic traditional?
My favorite acoustic traditional, like a fiddle tune, is that what you mean? Yeah. Man, I think like it always changes.
Blackberry Blossom.
Yeah, I mean Blackberry Blossom is a classic because it's one of those that.
I just feel like you could fucking break that.
Yeah, and it's one of those that's so usually with fiddle tunes because a lot of it's centered around writing the melody on a fiddle. So you're figuring out how to take those fingerings that maybe make sense on a mandolin or a fiddle, and they don't always make sense on banjo.
Okay.
And so, but Blackberry Blossom is one of those that's like, it's just positions all the way down. And all that is just moving, you're just going down and just holding chord positions and doing, a similar roll all the way down. So that one's a classic. I mean, I think...
Is there one that you always like fall back to?
Usually... Yeah, like if I like pick up a banjo and start playing, that is one of them for sure. The Lonesome Road Blues is like a nice warm up that I always go to. But it's like anymore. Usually I'm usually like warming up with stuff that we play.
Are you working chord progressions when you're warming up? Or trying to hit
sometimes, yeah. Like there's little like warm ups that like. That are nice to do. Basically, like the older you get, the harder it is to just pick up something and just rip right away. So you're like warming up your tendons and your fingers and stuff like that. So like
get in the
right? So like Pandolfi showed me this way back in the day when he produced Mirror Maid. He showed me this like warm up to try that he was working on at that point that I still use all the time when it's just. It's just all forward rolls in B flat, climbing up the scale. Yeah.
What do you feel like is one of the hardest licks that you...
Hardest licks?
Hardest licks that you've written for yourself.
Written for myself?
Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely right now, well... The one that's always the hardest to come back to for me is the solo in Wind Bitten after like the jam.
Yeah, I know exactly.
And it's like it's just because it makes sense like when you're singing the melody, but like on banjo and it's just like
that's why it's the fucking hardest one.
Yeah, it's all just jumping around. But
what about somebody else's?
Somebody else's.
Really work on, you're like, fuck, I can't hit this part of whatever this is.
Yeah, I think it's like, man, it changes all the time. Usually it's like in the process of learning something.
For sure, but that's gotta be hard,
yeah.
right? Because you're learning something new.
Yeah.
But something that you normally play that you're like, oh, I can bust this out every time, but this lick took me a minute to get to.
Yeah. That's probably like, I mean, like playing stuff like Red Haired Boy. That's like definitely a, you know, it's like Irish influence. It's written for fiddle or mandolin. So like on banjo, there's a lot of like hopping around.
Because you have to hit that low note way up there.
And it's a lot of like back and forth like this. So it's kind of feels like you're holding the tennis ball sometimes. But yeah, I mean, nowadays.
How do you make it sound so heavy? Like, is
so
that
like
your pedals?
Some of it is pedals. A lot of it is obviously your technique always matters.
Because that creates your tone, right?
Yeah, and I'm always like learning, always trying to learn new shit.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing like, where you're doing like, so part of it is picking up techniques from like deathcore guitar players and stuff. So like.
So when you're trying to pick up technique, are you listening to them and then you know what they're playing, or are you trying to watch how?
Well, usually it's you can't ever tell, you know, with like modern deathcore because it's also distorted.
Dark,
It's like distorted, and they're like sometimes the guy is running like the guys from it's a crazy fucking band name Sanguisugabog. Okay. They're running. Both of the guys are running their guitars through a guitar amp and through a bass amp in two different channels, and so like hearing that all on top of each other is like this kind of like crazy.
Wait, what? So they
heavy
between. That's fucking wild.
Yeah, they're running because they don't have a bass player, so they're running like.
Oh, so then they're picking up the bass line.
So they're like they're taking one of the guitar lines has like an octave down.
Yeah.
Pedal on it. So they're playing the bass, and that's going to the bass amp. Yeah. So like when it's all together, like it just sounds like, you know, it's just crazy cacophony, and it's all really distorted, and so it's like they're getting sick tone, but they're trying to pick that out. I can't do that like orally, but like watching like their technique though, or figuring out like, you know, just different like little tricks, like I do like there's like these pinches, so like these dissonant, so that's like mandolin or stand-up bass or fiddle will play what's called a double stop.
Yep.
So that's taking two notes in a chord, either the first and the third or the third and the fifth or whatever, and they're playing those together, and it sounds like, you know, when someone takes a mandolin run up, like, you know, it sounds like pretty nice, like those double stops, right? You're playing those two notes together.
Yep.
Right, you can take that's like in the traditional bluegrass style, and then the like metal version is to make that dissonant. So you're playing like, you pick like two notes that are like right here.
Yeah.
And so those notes, when you're playing them on the same string, those notes are right next to each other.
Yeah.
So playing them at the same time is fucking uncomfortable. And so I'm doing a lot of that, like when we're doing like the metal stuff, like the breakdown shit.
Dude, well,
like,
now it makes so much sense.
You know, or you're picking like a tritone, like the tritone is like the devil's interval.
Okay.
So that would be this, which is like that specific interval was illegal to play in medieval times because they thought it would summon the devil, and so that's like where like Black Sabbath, like where Tommy like got his fucking idea for the song Black Sabbath was he was listening to classical music and heard the tritone
and worked on that.
But now, so yeah, and that's where that lick in Black Sabbath comes from.
That's crazy.
And so it's like using those, like a lot of it is theory, like knowing where the notes come from and like knowing what is going to sound.
How they're structured. Yeah. Sure.
And some of it is but some of it is also metal, you know, tricks and shit that you pick up learning guitar, like when you're in high school.
You say pick up tricks, like fucking buddy, you're playing metal on a fucking banjo.
Yeah. So it's a lot of it is like kind of like
this learning process of you just fucking around. And
a lot of it,
it out,
and like
right?
So like the lick for like you know, like the Ebenezer thing, like me and Swain wrote that, like that was like one of the first ever heavy things that we ever wrote. But like, so it's literally.
It's also a perfect confetti song for any of you folks out there.
Yes, for anyone looking to sneak in a can.
There is a sick break in that song where it's fucking.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So that's the tritones.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah. But so the main lick of that is Swain wrote it on the mandolin. It's just these three notes in the A minor chord. Right? But he's doing it with a single pick, and so it makes sense for him to do that. And so
you have to pick through it.
Yeah, and I have to figure out like a roll to go with it. So it's like, so I figured out these like dissonant. So that's just figuring out where those notes lie.
But that's why your foundation is so important, because of listening to metal. You're able now to evolve that sound for the Dwellers, right?
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, like definitely the metal influence, like using the like, you know, the weird double stops and like and also the like chugs, like, but then there's also like the punk influence is like, you know, using like the power chord, like using instead of like playing like that's like a really nice G major. Yeah. Instead of doing that, like I'll do like the G power chord, which is way more to the point.
With your tone, and it's so much louder, right? And it bangs.
Yeah, and it's also like it's better to like to rip it, to play like palm muted like punk rock shit, and then also like lots of punk guitar players to, you know, instead of playing like a melody with just one note, they're playing with these like octave stretches or fifth stretches, and so they're playing like makes total sense.
So wait, what is happening?
So you're playing like, so an octave,
the fifth octave,
yeah. So the octave stretch is like you're playing like one note. I'll play a G, and then play a high G in the same. In banjo, the octave stretch makes sense because you're just doing two notes right on top of each other because it's two note G. So you can. So it's like kind of like a nice like cheat code as far as like the. Okay, once again the Ebenezer thing, and then it goes. So when Swain's playing, he's going, you know, but
for you
to add like power behind it.
Yes, and that's that fifth octave.
And that's that's the octave. The fifth is taking another note in that chord.
So like the double stops.
Yep, but instead of doing an octave, you're doing a fifth stretch. So you're doing. So it's a different note. It gives a different flavor. It definitely makes it a little more like pop punk, you know, like the.
Well, that's what's crazy is like I try to tell people like oh, the dreadheaded guy that plays the banjo. I'm like, no, buddy, that's not. He doesn't just play the banjo, because you play it way different than anyone I've ever heard.
Yeah, for sure, and that definitely comes from like playing it the, you know, kind of the wrong way. I never took any lessons.
But not the wrong way, because it's your way, right?
Totally, yeah. Now it is.
Yes,
but when you're starting out, it feels like it's the wrong way, you know. Well,
sure, but that's a lot of do with gatekeeping, right? And then like
totally.
Even like Billy Strings at the IBMA talked about like not being accepted, right? Because he's playing fast grass or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Or adding jam. You're adding this like grungier sound. People are like, that's not bluegrass. Meanwhile,
no, it's not.
Yeah,
but correct, you are.
We fucking want it to be, right? Like we don't want it to be.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool. It's like, because you talked about Sublime, right? They're in the same thing. They're pulling from multiple different genres. Right?
Yeah, totally.
And that's essentially what the Dwellers are doing and have done and continue to do.
Yeah. Totally. And it's nice to get to a point in our careers and also like in our band and like the camaraderie and like knowing ourselves and knowing each other super well and all that we feel perfectly okay just being ourselves. Like not, you know, when you're like a young band, you're like feeling
doing a Dweller show.
Yeah, just play a Dweller show. Like when you're a young band, you almost feel like every show that you play is a first date.
Yeah.
You know, like when you see like a guy on a first
date. I can't fuck
date,
this up.
Like on a first date is like he's just being whatever version of himself that he thinks is going to be the most liked.
No, to get him the second date. Right?
Yes, totally. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I just want you to come back to my next show. Okay?
Yeah. Like don't fuck this up. Yeah. And so that's like how you feel when you're a young band. You're like, oh, we're in Tennessee. We need to play some traditional bluegrass tonight, guys. Like we can't hit him with a fucking 20-minute jam right out the bat. Because a lot of people are going to be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
We're getting out of here. And so now it's nice to know that, we just are out there as a band now, and we're just comfortable with being ourselves and doing whatever we want to authentically. And that's when you're making the best art. That's when you're writing the best music and playing the best music and making the best art, is when you're just authentically being yourself.
You're being genuine to a fault.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where, like, coming back full circle to how we started this conversation, right? The speech.
Yeah.
You were being genuine. You were being authentic to yourself. You were standing on your morals.
Yeah.
And you didn't just shut up and sing.
And no one's paying me to say that. I'm not benefiting in any way from saying that. You know, if anything, you run the danger of running people away. But it's like at a certain point, as an artist, you have to do things that you believe in as an artist, or it's gonna fucking kill you. Like that's the end of the story. Is like if you don't inherently as an artist do the things that make you want to create art, you will either die or stop doing art.
Oh, 1,000%. You're gonna give up one way or another.
So there's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You gotta fucking do what rings true to you, or you will fall apart at the seams.
Well, you're a psychopath. You're about to jump back onto ski tour with my boys Magoo.
Yeah,
right.
Love them Magoo, them little bastards. I love them.
They're fucking. They're insane.
Yeah, I love playing with them guys,
dude, and they absolutely love you. And it's awesome because I know that you guys played under a lot of bands when you were coming up.
Yeah.
And now you've been returning the favor, and you've been having awesome bands play underneath you.
Yeah.
And I know that not everybody in this scene does it that way. But you should, right? Because
you should at least, not everyone in the scene also vibes together. So like it's just kind of your vibe you put out there attracts the people that it does. And for us, it definitely, has worked out as far as like musically and just personally, like hanging out with like the dudes in Magoo, great dudes, the dudes in fucking Mountain Grass. Awesome dudes. Fucking love hanging out with those dudes. It's a blast.
They're real dudes, right?
Yeah.
They're real people.
And same with Shadowgrass, like that, and fucking Clay Street, and like all these younger bands are like, Sickard Hollow, like all these dudes are just like
Alec Persh is a fucking machine.
Speaking of metal bluegrass bands.
No, they fuck hard.
Yeah.
I absolutely love them.
Yeah.
So you have a couple dates on ski tour. You guys are off and fucking running again, right?
We're back at it. This will be ski tour into desert tour. We're going down to Pappy and Harriet's, which is like a Joshua Tree, which is sick. And Santa Fe, Meow Wolf, and Flagstaff in Texas. It's gonna be awesome. We just announced. I think we announced it today. AJ told me to talk about this. Hold on. We are doing a.
Which festival?
Not festival. We're doing a 2-night event with the folks from Winter Wondergrass at Winter Park this summer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Scott.
Yeah, Scotty, our guy. Scotty Stoughton is our fucking boy.
I was corrected. It's Stoughton.
Yeah,
Stoughton.
Yes.
Stoughton. Be like, sorry, Scotty. Bonfire has been amazing. There are another ones, like I said, where you bring younger bands on up. Go and look at these festival lineups and look at the bottom 2/3 and start listening, right? Because that's where it makes a huge difference. Obviously, all the big names we know, which we're lucky to get, right? Yeah. But then we get like intimate fun shit with this. So what's happening in Winter Park?
Winter Park, 2 nights, July 24th and 25th, Friday and Saturday. At the Rendezvous Event Center, which I think is like the big like outdoor stage.
It is the outdoor
in Winter Park. And yeah, I don't know. We have a bunch of bands on with us. I think Magoo is one of them.
That's awesome.
I don't remember who else, but yeah, it's gonna be fucking sick. I'm excited.
That's awesome. Yeah. So for you guys to stay in touch, if you haven't already, T Daniels Music. T
Daniels Music on Instagram. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. And Kitchen Dwellers. It's kitchendwellers.com.
Yes.
Where else do you want to send them to? Go see a show.
Yeah, go to a show. Yes,
buy your tickets before the day of the show.
Yes, buy tickets in advance. No one buys tickets in advance. Honestly, I understand it. The vibe is kind of in shambles right now, so you never know what the next day is going to bring. But yeah, go to a show. I saw a thing the other day that the lack of community, that's like caused by this shit right here. That you're inevitably watching this on.
Fucking throw it.
Yeah.
After you watch it.
Actually, the way to combat loneliness this was a Vice article. The way to combat loneliness is to have more ragers, because you're bringing the community together instead of just commenting on shit or watching a live stream. Like, you're in a public space together, having a blast, getting pressed on by sweaty people. You might be drinking shitty beer, you might be smoking weed, whatever, but
Let's
have more ragers.
Yes.
We'll do it together.
Don't
have to do it by yourself.
I keep telling people, like Jack Johnson said, we're better together.
Yeah.
Fucking, you need a crew, you're fucking lonely, hit us up. We got a good group of folks, and we just constantly grow. You never have to go to a show alone. What you'll find is, even if it's not us, go to the fan pages. Ask people, hey, I want to go to the show. I have no one to go with. I guarantee you will find like-minded people that you can become friends with. And some of my best friends are people that I've met in this scene.
Yep. Yeah, that happens all the time on our fan page. On the Dish Pit, people go, I'm going to this. I don't know anybody.
Let's go, dipshits. I love you boys.
Let's go.
All right. Thanks, T.
Thanks, dude.